Talk and Power, your motorsport and motoring radio show. Now on 88.5 FM, The Valley Comes Alive. And podcasting across iTunes and talkandpower.com.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Talk and Power podcast, episode 198. We're getting close to the big 200. I am your host, Nick Dicembre. I'm joined by co-host over here, Michelle Morrison, and co-host over there, Todd Brinkworth. How are we?
Doing well.
Going well?
Keeping very busy.
Sorry, cut you off, Michelle.
No,
Go on.
That's all fine.
Just hit me. Yeah, they know just hit me and tell me to shut up. It's all right.
I'll just keep talking.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm busy. It sounds funny, but that's my standard answer, busy.
Some people have said to me, how busy is Todd? Because every time he's on the podcast, he goes, I'm busy. So people have asked me, how busy is Todd really? So you're a busy man.
Yeah, a few people saw me at Tarmac West and they're like, oh, you do exist. Yeah. We haven't seen you for a year or two. And I'm like, yeah.
Speaking of Tarmac, well, I mean, you'll give us a bit of a rundown shortly, but a big weekend for yourself?
Yeah. Went and did the official duties for a couple of days and then went and spectated and took some photos and generally just sort of hung out and did a bit, and it was a good 3 days. The weather the week before was horrible, and that weekend it just turned it on. It was magic weather. Yeah,
it was very good weather, wasn't it? Nice. And Michelle, yourself, I know you went down to, the test in Tune, didn't you?
Well, it was a tech day. And Andrew did the tech session, but then also the Western Australian Junior Dragster Association hired the track and had some junior licensing passes. There was some new junior dragsters stepping into cars and also some existing drivers that were stepping into faster category. But there was also 4 junior dragster bikes doing licensing passes. So that was really cool to see because it is so new for Australia, but that was the first laps that the junior dragster bikes had at Perth Motorplex as well.
Yeah, I saw that's coming up at the end. We'll talk NDRC a bit later on, but I saw that's going to be featured there as well. So that's great to see. And apart from that, you've all been keeping... I know you had a bit of a short trip away as well.
Yeah, spent 2 weeks in Bali, which was really nice. And, that 2 weeks, it was really enough time to actually switch off. Yeah. I think if we made it, fortunate enough that we could go for 2 weeks. But I think still a week in, you're trying to keep track of what's happening back home. But with 2 weeks, you really tend to let go and... just know that you can't really do much from afar anyway. So came back all rearing to go and, really seeing how fast our drag racing season's catching up on us, creeping up on us, I should say. Engines back in the car and not far for the start of our season, but I'll be coming out for the Power Palooza as well on the 19th of October.
Did I see a photo on Instagram of the motor in the car? Was that? Yeah,
yep,
okay.
So
wasn't. I thought I saw that. Yes.
Yeah. So motor's in, and all
that's good. Well, you've done a bit then, given that you've been 2 weeks in Bali as well. And
it has been a long off season, but we really didn't have much to do with the car. It was really just pull the engine apart and have a look and clean up some bits and pieces. But all in all, there was no damage, and realistically, the car's only done just over a season's worth of racing, so not time to do anything too serious just yet.
Fair enough. That sounds great. We'll talk a bit about drag racing, what's coming up a bit later on, but let's get stuck into probably one of the lead stories of this year, I would say. One of the lead stories, and some people will say that it's not, couldn't care less, but let's get this one out of the way. Walkinshaw Andretti and the big Toyota announcement from Supercars just very recently, about a week ago, I would say. We haven't recorded since then. Michelle, thoughts on the Toyota Supra coming into Supercars as of 2026?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, isn't it? We'll have to see how much that shapes things up. I'm not a huge follower of the Supercars, admittedly, but definitely seeing that there is a lot happening with the organisation in its whole. So, we'll see what this brings.
Todd, yourself, what did you think?
I think it's great.
Yep.
It will make me watch it a bit more in the future. I know it's another year away almost, but I'm going to mention it. It's going to be akin to the direction it should go. We're not going to get, what did Johnny want? GT Sports Cars or something? I forget. We always had we're obviously not going to get that. But if we can now get Toyota, there's a very strong rumour Hyundai. I don't know what they're going to make a rear-wheel drive platform out of and where they're going to get a V8 from them, but there's a rumour.
Yep.
This is what it should have been. It should have been 4 or 5 years ago. You know, sorry, Chevrolet and Ford are kind of dead. But again, you can't buy a V8 Supra, but you can go buy a Supra pretty close off the showroom floor. Yeah. And that's what you want.
Look, I'm excited from 2 points of view. I think the cross promotion that we can see from the sport tying in with the AFL. I don't know. I wrote an article on it last week, and I see some great synergies with the AFL. Toyota being the name and right sponsors of the AFL, in particular the final series. And I think, you know, if we're looking for a new demographic, the sport is looking for a new demographic. We need to find, you know, I don't know.
Well, it brings growth, doesn't it?
Yeah. It certainly does, yeah. So that's the point that I was making to a lot of people was if we're looking for growth, we need to look elsewhere, and the AFL is a really good spot. Unfortunately, the two seasons sort of overlap with each other, but that's my pipe dream is to have the, you know, supercar seasons that become a true summer sport, whereas, you know, it's more of a winter sport, so they overlap. But our biggest race of the year is out of the AFL season and is hot on the heels. And I think there's some great promotion to be had there in terms of even driver interactions with AFL players. I don't want to make this an AFL thing, but I think there's some great synergy there.
I think all in all, you know, what you're speaking of is really the marketing behind it. And with the supercars being so heavy with your Holden and Fords or your Chevrolet and Fords, it even just sets another level of competition in that marketing aspect that then will bring Ford and Chevrolet or Holden then back up and to try and make sure that they're keeping up with then what Toyota's going to be doing. Yeah.
So as it stands, it'll be 4 cars introduced to the team. It's unknown who the other 2 cars will be going to. It is slated. It would be likely Peter Zibris in the Premier team. So he has a relationship with Toyota already through his Premier business and through drag racing, and I think Toyota is one of his. That's Toyota Forklifts, I know, but still, there's a relationship there. Yeah. So that seems to be there will be 4 cars. So Walkinshaw Andretti will be the homologated team for the Toyota, and the other 2 cars yet to be decided or yet to be announced. This was probably one of the best kept secrets. And journalists that are paid by Toyota, paid journalists, didn't even know about this.
Yeah, wow.
So it was literally a small group of people. From what I understand, it was literally less than 10 people knew about this, and it really caught the media and fans and people in the sport off guard. I think it's a great thing. I can't wait for it to actually happen. I can only see it being a positive. And look, everyone's saying, oh, it's new. It's not really. If you remember back to the 80s and 90s, Toyota had a factory backing in Group A and Group C days. I think Group C was more of a support team. It was a Celica from memory. Yeah. And then the Group A was that AE86. That was a Group A car. Yeah. It was an AE86. Yeah. Anyway, that's you know, that was Toyota factory back in the day. We're talking 80s and 90s here, but still, they're not a stranger to the sport. It's probably sad that it's taken this long for them to get back in, but I'm really excited about it. I think this is a great thing, and it's actually a Toyota V8 as well. So it's not a generic off-the-shelf V8 that they're having to use. They're using an actual Toyota V8. I don't recall what it is.
The 2U RFE.
That's it, yes.
which is the same they have in the Lexus, which is the 5 litre.
5 litre, yeah.
And even in stock form, a lot of my mates have Lexus. They are absolutely awesome motors.
Yep.
Silky smooth, but make huge horsepower for a 5 litre.
Yeah. So this is the 5 litre that's used in the Toyota Hilux Dakar cars.
Yep.
So, yep. So, look, I mean, there's still some work to be done, but can't wait. Looking forward to it. Sadly, we lose 2 Mustangs out of the field. Walkinshaw Andretti will no longer be Mustang. I think that's sad for Ford people like myself. But anyway, that's a small price to pay, I think.
Yeah.
Small price to pay. Speaking of Mustangs and Ford, quick discussion I thought we'd have on the failures that we've seen at Sandown. Wasn't actually in the race. I think there was only one failure during the race, but the day after they had a ride day and 3 Fords failed. And we're talking catastrophic engine failure, not just a weeping rear main oil leak. Catastrophic crankshaft failures.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So 4 all up.
You know, it just makes me think about when we last covered the supercars and can't recall who it was that was getting a little bit of backlash for not doing any celebratory burnouts, and it was saying saving the engine, we're not going back home. And
it was Matthew Payne in a Mustang.
Yeah, right.
Yep. So the fault has been traced back to a faulty batch of crankshafts. So these engines that failed are newly rebuilt motors. So they go through a cycle where they get rebuilt. The 4 that failed were recently rebuilt. The crankshaft, from what we understand, was from China.
Huh.
So it's not out of the Ford plant, and it was a Chinese crank, all built by DJR. They're the engine supplier. But, so I don't know where they go to from here. They need to get this sorted because Bathurst is October 13 and it's just around the corner. Massive problems. I just wrote here, I like Timmy Richards.
Yeah.
Tim Edwards. But he distanced himself quite quickly and saying that it wasn't V8 Supercars' responsibility. It is 100% their responsibility. They've created these rules and these motors. So the teams no longer build their engines.
Yeah.
The engines are supplied by 2 engine builders. DJR is one of them, Dick Johnson Racing, and the other one is KRE for the Camaro. So they supply all the engines to all the teams, and they're cycled. So you might have an engine for X amount of races, then that's got to come out, and then you'll get someone else's engine. They're cycled through like that. They've created these rules with these specifications. I can't understand how it's not their responsibility. It is 100% their responsibility, supercars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're not allowing teams to build engines, so who's responsible?
Or even do the rebuilds of the engines that you're providing. That's,
The engines are sealed. The engines are sealed. Well, not these ones, obviously. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if the cranks came out. I just know that they were massive. They were massive engine failures. We're not talking small engine failures. These are catastrophic.
Yeah.
So, and as they say, apparently ride days create these issues. I don't know if that's. I don't understand why or how. So you
can't imagine that the engine would be put on as much pressure on a ride day as it would be on a race,
Well, they're actually saying that some of these guys that go for ride days, put my hand up now, maybe over the 100 kilo mark, maybe seated in the car where there's not normally that sort of weight.
Oh, but the weight would be transferred to somewhere else. These engines should be able to handle that.
These are the sort of things that have been bounced around. And then the other thing was, generally speaking, on the ride and drive day, the engines may get pushed a little bit harder than what they should. Might be
revved a bit
over embellishing or pushing the car a little bit harder, braking a little bit harder, those sorts of things. Look, I don't know. I'm not an expert in the field, but it's interesting that we had this massive failures after Sandown. Anyway, we'll keep an eye on that, and it does create a lot of guess, uncertainty around Bathurst, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see.
I mean, ride days though. I thought originally ride days were normally use last year's chassis and last year's motor. You don't.
No, they use the current cars now.
Oh wow!
There's just not enough room or infrastructure to bring another spare car over anymore.
I mean, that's a risky run, unfortunately.
And so, how many ride days do they do?
Generally, they try and do one after every event. Even here at Carco, they'll try and have a ride day. Look, it's up to the teams, but from a commercial point of view, they have sponsors and they can't do the ride day beforehand, so they try and do it the day after. And generally speaking, there's an exchange of money to do those days.
Yeah.
So it's you're taking
within your sponsorship deal or something.
Yeah. So
I wonder when they're sending their engines back for their rebuilds, is that ride day timed around? How often do they send them back? Was this due to go back now?
No, these are new engines that have just been fitted.
Yeah,
wow.
Well, I mean, if anything, it's a good thing that it happened on the ride day.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll have to watch and see what happens there at Bathurst. I want to talk about conflicts of interest as well. This has been brewing for some time now, and I like Mark Scaife, even though I'll disclose I'm a Ford fan, but I've always liked Mark Scaife. I've actually met Mark Scaife before, and he's actually a really friendly guy. However, this conflict of interest has been brewing for some time now, and I couldn't see how he was able to stay in race and also be a Foxtel commentator. It just didn't. The two didn't marry up for me. What are your thoughts, Todd? What do you think?
I'm about to say, for those playing at home, my favourite saying, we haven't heard it in a while, I'm smiling a lot about this. I saw this happening, and I must admit, I nearly messaged Nick, but I think you'd already put in our little group chat, hey, have you seen this about Mark Scaife? He had to stand down. Again, I don't mind Scaife, but in the past he has been a bit, I don't know how to term it. He said, biased. Yeah, thank you. That's what I was looking for. Yeah, and sometimes I'm like, oh, come on, Mark, you're a bit out of field here, and you're a bit one-eyed, and now it's come to a head. Obviously, like he has to sort of do one thing, one or the other.
He has to stand down because what's brought it to the fore is the fact that he's actually. So he sits on the sits on the board of Race. Race is, I can't remember the acronym, but Race Australia.
You got it written.
Oh, there it is.
Racing Australia.
Racing Australia Consolidated Enterprises. They're the owners of Supercars. They're going for their next. They're about to take on their next TV rights deal. So it's not appropriate that he sits on the board there and he's a Foxtel employee. So I kind of did have an issue with that, but I never had an issue with him commentating still.
Yeah.
I think he could do both, but if you're going to sit for the TV deal, he kind of had to stand down. But I don't understand why. I think he could have just removed himself from those discussions when it came to the TV deal and then put himself back in. You know what I mean? They're
that's
just a small conflict of interest. It's not a massive one.
You also have to ask yourself, how much are Foxtel paying him to make him want to actually step aside?
Well, that's a very good question. You'd think he would be reimbursed for that. I don't know. You know, because it's not Foxtel that are making him stand down. It's actually Race that are making him stand down. It's Barclay Netterfold because they don't want that conflict of interest.
But how much?
Yeah, but then his
is it worth to him?
His agreement with Foxtel must be strong enough to do that. You know, and I'm not across what Foxtel's position is with the V8 Supercars, but it's who else are they chasing for their TV rights?
Wouldn't be too many, so it'd be 7 plus. Will still be part of the deal. Oh, look, this is the other thing that these teams and that Supercars needs to get accustomed to. I can't see this TV deal being the same as what it was, you know, a few years ago. The TV numbers have dropped substantially, so I'm not certain that they're going to get the same numbers.
And that's what I'm thinking. And I suppose with Foxtel having their associations with KO, you know, KO's kind of leading streaming for sports. That's what we use, and that covers across all bases. But is there going to be another streaming provider that's within this new deal? And whether that Fox is strong enough to keep going.
I don't know what Kerry Stokes has in mind, but we know that 7 Plus have negotiated a new deal with the AFL, and it's big money. I mean, big money, but part of that is getting now all AFL, not all, but the free-to-air AFL games will be on 7 Plus as well. So you can watch AFL from your device now, which you haven't been able to do before.
Yeah, they just had a big advertisement on that recently.
Yep.
Did you see it on the weekend with Shannon Knoll?
Shannon Knoll and Brock Feeney taking him around. Did you see that as well? Brock Feeney driving him around in the... That was done. I think that was pretty smart. That looked pretty cool. And I think Brock Feeney is kind of the poster boy of supercars at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like him. He's young. He's a good driver, and I like that fit. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I just can't see them getting the coin that they've previously got, but I could be wrong. Be interesting to see. While we're talking supercars, one final thing. Chico has been named brand partner for the Kostecki and Hazelwood pairing in the Erebus team. So I don't think I put that in your notes. That was sort of late breaking news, that one there. So Chico, one of my... I find it, in the world we live in, right, Erebus is always doing something that's not so politically correct.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with Chico rolls. I know they're not, but they're not the healthiest.
I wasn't quite sure what you were referring to.
Chico.
Chico?
Not Chico.
Chico
rolls.
Chico. They're not the most healthiest. Like, they're the roadhouse meal of choice.
I guess with the...
I just know in today's day and age, we're pushing people to eat healthy, you know, stop gambling, stop drinking, stop smoking, all those sorts of things. And then we go plaster. I don't have an issue with it. I love Chico roll, but I just... In 2024, it was a really interesting one. And it's always Erebus sort of saying... Well, no, we'll do that. That seems like a really cool idea. Yeah, let's get them on board.
Yeah, it's an interesting relationship pairing there. But I suppose in regards to, you know, promoting healthy eating, unless they're going to broaden the selection of food available at the racetracks, I'm not sure whether they can be having input on what marketing sponsorship deals that these teams can partner with.
That's right. Yeah. Look, I mean, I don't want to. People might mock me for saying that, but I'm just. As I said,
I'm more question. Why would Chico choose it? What's their association with motorsport? What makes it appealing to them? So, so that's where my interest comes.
Yeah, it is roadhouse food, but I don't. Do you still see it locally?
They sell it at the school canteens. That's the only reason, you know.
Oh, really?
Well, they used to. With saying that, they now have your Healthy Star ratings with traffic light systems.
And the odd fish and chip shop still sells them.
Yeah.
And I mean, I eat a lot of roadhouse food because I'm on the road a fair bit. I don't really like them, but they're always available. They're always there, and that's about the only thing you can get day or night is a chicken roll.
And I just recognise the packaging.
Yeah.
Admittedly.
Yeah, so brand recognition is huge on that product. It's huge. So, yeah, it's been around for a long time. It's survived, I guess, it survived all of its challenges from healthy eating. It's just an interesting one. I did think it was, when I saw it, I was like, really?
It's interesting, and, you know, we won't go too much into it, but with their NHRA this season, they've got Mission Foods, so like your Mission wraps.
Yeah.
And, you try and draw your mind to what's the association between wraps and then drag racing. And, previously we've had Full Throttle energy drink, which is owned by Coca-Cola, and then after that they had Camping World, and you think, Camping World and motorsport, drag racing, but then a lot of the pit setups and things that they're using at the track can be bought at Camping World, but then once it goes into food brands,
The mission wraps is a real interesting one. When I saw that, I said, I just don't get it.
I thought that at first I didn't think that it was the wraps. I thought that it must have been a brand or a company that was something else. And then once I saw a few promotions of racing drivers, making their wraps in the pits.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, wow,
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting. We'll watch that space anyway. Can't wait to see them at Bathurst.
The Chico Roll, didn't they used to sponsor a car in the 80s?
No, that's Chickadee you're thinking of.
No,
they did sponsor back in 2000. In 2000, They did sponsor a supercar team. So it's not new. It wasn't that long ago. It was only 24 years ago.
Only.
Yeah.
Well, this plays on just a bit of a ongoing pun that I've always had with my family. As you might know, Trevor, my father-in-law, his car's called Mad Max.
Yes.
So then Trent's had been driving the car, Mad Max, and I always joked around once we were married that I'd have Mrs. Max on the car, and then so maybe just a shout out to Mrs. Max could get some hot pies and sausage rolls
Get
down
in
there.
contact with Michelle, the team at Mrs. Max. Great, they're a WA company, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Great
in
company too.
Morley,
Yeah, I think they're just
Toyota
local.
there.
Yeah. Formula One, right. You said we've got lots to get through here. Not really, actually, but anyway. We'll just go have a quick chat with Formula One. Have we seen, Michelle, do you think we've seen Daniel Ricciardo's last F1 race?
If you saw his post-race interview, it's kind of telling there, isn't it?
Yeah.
That was hard to watch, seeing how much emotion he had. I think we have predicted it.
Yeah.
But as how official it actually was, I think his emotions at the end of the race during post-race interviews kind of gave us our answer.
Sadly, look, I did the movements here, and these are the F1 movements for 2025, right? So I'm just going to read this out. So Daniel Ricciardo's moving over for Liam Lawson. Now the deal is that Liam, I don't know if he's finishing the season out. It's 1 or 2 races, but unless Liam is lame, then there's no chance. I think he's secured the seat. So Kimi Antonelli replaces Lewis at Mercedes. Lewis replaces Carlos Sainz at Ferrari. Sainz will be replacing the Colapinto or Sargent, whatever way you want to look at that one there, at Williams. Ocon to replace Magnussen at Haas. Hulkenberg to replace Zhou at Sauber. Jack Doohan to replace Ocon at Alpine. Ollie Beerman to replace Hulkenberg at Haas. So this basically leaves Zhang Gru, I can never say his name right, Franco Colapinto, Kevin Magnussen and Daniel Ricciardo without homes in 2025. I can confirm now, I've written here, the only uncertainty was Valtteri Bottas. I can confirm he has confirmed his seat for 2025, Valtteri Bottas. So that locks out. There's just no home for Daniel next year.
Yeah.
If Liam is successful in the next few races, there is no, these drivers are locked in. So it's not just Daniel losing a ride. It's the sad one there is Franco Colapinto, because he's shown some real speed, that kid, who replaced Logan Sargent. But unfortunately, there's no spot for him. Kevin Magnussen, he's had a couple of goes now, so I think his time is done. And Zhou Guan at the Sauber just failed to impress me, really, to be honest with you, and he's lost his seat. So that's it. I can't see a spot there for Daniel.
Yeah.
It's not there. It's just not happening. So it's sad to say. We could have had a real moment in time where we had 3 Australians in Formula One next year. So we've got Jack Doohan, we've got Oscar Piastri, and we could have had Daniel Ricciardo there as well.
Yeah.
Which, when you think about it, Formula One, if I said to you 20 years ago, we're going to have 3 Aussies in Formula One, people would have laughed at it. Laughed, we got Mark Webber in there.
Yeah.
And, to have 3 was is amazing, really, when you think about it. When you think about a country like Italy has 64 million, whatever it is, and what are we, 26 million now in Australia?
Right.
Whatever,
Yeah.
20, high 20s million. They're 3 times the population, yet they're only going to have one Italian next year in Formula One. And it just, we're batting above our weight, really, when you think about it. We're batting outside of the crease, or whatever the saying is. I can't remember what the saying is, but I think Australia's done really well. Daniel Ricciardo, it's great. He's done well. He's done extremely well.
Yeah.
A great spokesperson for Western Australia, and I'd really love to have him on the podcast one day once he's finished. He'd have some great stories to tell, I reckon.
Yeah. I think it would be really great to see him in commentary. And I was saying on the weekend that I think in that, Australian larrikin sense, and, he's always a bit of a joker, to be going around and kind of uplifting the races and the teams. We see plenty of that in Netflix Drive to Survive, but I'd love to see that as a bit of a permanent role for Daniel, because I feel like his personality is just so needed in Formula Ones. I think we didn't see as much, and probably the Drive to Survive kind of allowed us to see more of the drivers' personalities, but Daniel kind of always shown that in any interview that he had, and it makes you connect more and feel more personable with the drivers when you kind of see the other side, opposed to game face, serious. Not going to let too many of the cursive words slip that have been said on Drive to Survive, but you can still have a laugh and have that kind of fun side.
But because I watch a lot of Formula One, as you know, and I see Nico Rosberg, he's in that role now. Nico Rosberg, I cannot warm to the man. He's so opinionated, and I don't know, he could be that person, but he's not. He's the exact opposite. He's like, he brings the mood down, And I think Martin does a great job. Crofty does a great job. Ted Kravitz does a great job.
Yeah.
Nat Pinkham, she does a magnificent job. I actually big fan of Danica Patrick as well. So I'm looking forward to the next few races in the US. So Austin, she comes into the commentary team. I really like Danica and what she brings. But when I see Nico Rosberg there, I just get I can't warm to the man.
It's like watching paint talk.
Oh, he's just so opinionated.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying his opinions are wrong, but what I am saying is that I don't value what he says at all, really, to be honest. So I think you're 100% on the money. I think he would give a great lens on the sport, and I mean, he's been in it for a while. Nico Rosberg won the championship in 2016 and was out the door the next day. Yeah. So it's not to be rude to Nico, but that's now 8 years ago. The sport has evolved.
Yeah.
The cars have evolved. I don't really, when Martin Brundle talks about the tracks, I take more value in what he says, because he raced in an era where, I think they were still shifting gears. Maybe not with a H pattern. I don't think he's that old, but you know what I mean? He's come from the old school. Yeah. Whereas Nico was in the hybrid era, and I just don't. But anyway, that's just me.
Actually, if you do the facts, Daniel's seen 3 engine platforms through his career, or 4?
Yeah, that's right. No, 3. So the pre-hybrid and after-hybrid.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to speak with Daniel about that, because I don't think he ever raced. Would have to check, but I don't think he was in the V10 era. I think he might have been V8 by the time.
I got a funny feeling he was announced as a driver, or he may have been in the junior program, but never.
The Hispania car, would need to check that. That was his first car.
Yeah, it just came to me then. I was
the Hispania
thinking,
car,
he's done
the HRT car.
But
yeah, whether that was a V10 or not. But yeah, he's been there. Well, Alonso's every era.
Yeah.
Like side valve just about.
Rookie of the year, Alonso.
Alonso, he's there when Juan Fangio was racing.
I'm about to say some side notes. I watch a bit of TikTok every now and then, and I've fallen onto F1 TikTok recently.
Yeah.
So it's just constant Daniel Ricciardo. Apparently, the Drive to Survive team had an extra camera crew, but are you here for Daniel? No. But they seem to be following Daniel around. So make of that what you will.
I think
interesting.
Yeah.
I see what you're getting at. I thought of it more of just because of the material that he gives them.
No, they had an extra crew there on that weekend.
Yeah.
Just because something was happening, but they were telling everyone they can't tell everyone what's happening.
Oh, okay.
So I guess we'll find out
next year.
Or we'll find out when Daniel actually maybe unfortunately says I've retired.
Yeah.
And we'll join the dots. But for now, there's still speculation. Red Bull haven't actually sacked him.
No, that's true. Exactly right. But Liam would have to fail miserably for him not to get for Liam not to get the ride. He would have to fail miserably.
Yeah.
And Liam is a credentialed driver. So I find that almost impossible. Anyway, we need to move on. We'll take a short break here. Ferrari Challenge has been named as the support for the SRO promoted racing events for 2025. Congratulations to them. That's it's interesting. Sometimes I feel like we've splintered racing up a little bit too much, and adding this into the ARG. Well, it's not the ARG series anymore. It's SRO now, but basically it's the Shannon Speed Event series. Adding the Ferrari Challenge in, I think, can only be to the detriment of something else. Something has got to go. I just can't see. But this is, I don't know if you've seen the cars. It's a Ferrari 296. They are, Andrew Van Leeuwen, I think, took one for a spin the other day. Probably one of the best Ferraris. To me, probably one of the most beautiful Ferraris ever built. Little bit American looking, little bit Corvette-ish. There's a whole heap of Ferrari fans out there who want to stab me right now for saying that.
In which way? What way?
Just if you look at the front, the stance, it looks a little bit. Someone will say to me, they'll say, "No, the Corvette is what looks like a Ferrari."
No, Corvettes have had their style for a long time.
I know, but if you look at it, it's. I just love the stance of the 296. It's a beautiful, beautiful looking car, and I can't wait to see this series. I just have my reservations about we're adding another category into a series that was battling with S5000. We were struggling to get numbers. Now we're adding this to it as well. I don't know. If I look at it, it's not. It's probably not. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I don't know how big the field's going to be. Might not be that big.
Yeah.
Wait and see. Closing comments or thoughts, Michelle?
No, it's just I'm looking forward to it. It's I'm really looking forward to this season. All the
best with it.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it, and I don't know. Perhaps we can do a live podcast from the Motorplex as well for one event.
Yeah.
Cool.
See what we can do. We did that with we did that with Simon. Remember we did that with Simon a few times.
Day. That was a big day. I remember that we were there till 1 a.m.
Oh, well, that's always good. That means that he might have won, hey?
Oh, no, he had a good.
He did win that one.
Yeah, there we go.
Did.
If you bring the luck with you,
come
and hit with me.
He did. Remember that one we were crewing the night before, because I was somehow helping him out. I don't know how, because I'm hopeless, and especially around a blow at Hemi. But anyway, we were helping him. We were helping him the Friday night. Friday night turned into Saturday morning. We didn't leave his workshop till 6 o'clock in the morning to go home and get, I don't know what sort of sleep, only to be back at the workshop at 9.
To load the car up?
Yeah, we didn't load the car up. We loaded it up at 9, went to the Motorplex. I'll never forget it. He slept underneath the truck in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Literally slept. And he won that event. And I think we did a podcast from that as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to drag that video. We actually filmed that one. I'm cooked as, you can see. Like, I'm just like, like this. But anyway, we got there in the end. So, yeah, we should do that.
Yeah.
We should do
sure.
that.
As long as you know that I'll have my 2 sidekicks with me.
That's fine.
They'll
That's
have their
okay.
own mic and
They'll
they can
have
ask the questions.
they can interview Todd, or Todd can interview them.
Yeah. We'll work
It'd
it
be
out.
cool.
They'll have the hard-hitting questions, that's for sure.
That's what we like. All right. Thank you, Michelle and Todd. It's great to have you here, and it's great to have Ryco on board as well. So, as it says up there, don't risk it. Insist on Ryco. I don't use anything but Ryco. It's not hard to get a Z9.
Yeah.
Ryco. So thanks for the team at Ryco. All right. Thanks, Michelle and Todd. It's great to see you again, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much.
See you, Nick.
Take care.
See you,
See ya.
Kel.